Your resume needs to sell your story. And to some degree, your LinkedIn profile is very similar. These are areas where it's imperative that you differentiate yourself, that you show why you're unique, why you're different. Trust me, every hiring manager, every recruiter in the business would love to go through every resume they get, to read them all in depth, to understand and get to know every person that has applied for a job. They're all wonderful people, but that's not reality. And the reality is that the system is set up now to find ways to minimize the number of candidates that somebody sees, to pick what an AI system quite often has deemed the cream of the crop based on parameters that have been set by the people that are doing the hiring. Could be hiring manager input based on the qualifications that they're looking for. Could be based on degree, certain skill set, certain years of experience, and these are put in place. And then the recruiting process is set up in a way to pull out certain candidates based on those parameters. My heart goes out to people that are looking specifically through no fault of their own. That process can be very challenging. I've been there before, and I had a lot of very interesting awakenings during times like that. But the biggest one was understanding the probability. If you apply to a job that 1,000 other people or more are applying to, what are you doing to increase your chance from 1 in 1,000? Because frankly, that's what it could be. Other people are doing things to make themselves stand out. It always amazes me when I review resumes. I see resumes a lot of colleagues. I've hired hundreds of people before, interviewed thousands, and still to this day will review resumes from time to time. And it never ceases to amaze me that how similar a lot of them feel and look and think. And that's where you come in, because you want to craft your story and you want to infuse it into your resume. What projects have you undertaken and led? What wins, what successes have you had? What key learnings? What metrics have you achieved? These are the types of things that stand out. And if I'm a hiring manager, I'm looking at a resume. First off, I've got a very short amount of attention to devote to each resume individually. So that beginning has got to be an attention grabber. If somebody's researching your LinkedIn, same thing. What's in your headline? If you're a sales professional who overachieves or an innovative thinker, guess what? So is everybody else. And you've got to make sure that you're really spelling out what sets you apart. You want the hiring manager to look at that resume and to say, I want this person working for me. It's that simple. And you've got to make sure you play up your unique strengths and interests when doing so. Years ago, my resume was only selected to move on to the next round from a hiring process because of the fact that I had written a book and gotten it published. It was something that made it stand out. And it was a sales leadership role, and the book was about sales and leadership. So that got me in to the next round, but it didn't guarantee me the job. I needed to get to the table. And trust me, I'm fully aware that most of us feel that if we can just get to the table, get to the conversation, that we can get the job, right? But getting there often is the challenge, and we get an email that says that somebody else that was more qualified was selected. That's not as personal of a touch as we would prefer. But the reality of it is that there's a system that's in place that for whatever reason, we didn't stand out enough. Or, quite frankly, maybe we didn't have the relationships that mattered with the hiring manager in the process. The reason people get hired that are recommendations from other contacts, referrals, is because it's less of a gamble for the hiring manager to bet on that person who is a known entity, from somebody that they know and maybe that they trust, as opposed to maybe you in this case, who's a complete unknown. That's why it's so important to leverage your network. That's why it's so important to, if you want to work somewhere or in a certain capacity, that you make connections. Maybe on LinkedIn, you reach out to people and try to connect with them that are hiring in the capacity of what you want to be hired, or mentoring in the capacity for what you want to be doing. And you get to know them and you ask for feedback, you ask for guidance. It's amazing in this day and age. I think a lot of people are very hip to doing informationals as hiring managers. And so you can get access to people and just tell them, hey, I'm looking to parlay my skills into your realm, into your industry, into your business. And I'm curious. I just would love to spend 15 minutes of your time, get some feedback, maybe get some guidance on how I might best do that. What should I be thinking about? But your resume tells a story. That first section, that summary, it's got to be an attention grabber. That's where you point out the awards you've won. That's where you point out the key things that you've done. And I've talked to college grads as well. I understand there are many different levels of expertise and experience, and some folks that are coming right into the workforce that have not necessarily done anything yet that they think they can play up on a resume. So that's where you play up all of the things. Maybe you did some really good collaborative efforts as a part of your college and studies. Maybe you were an athlete. Maybe you were a team captain. Anything you can find that will set you apart, make you stand out, show the things that you've done that a hiring manager is going to look at and say, okay, I understand. This person is going to be able to handle and tackle the things that are going to be thrown at them in this job. A lot of people will write resumes specific to jobs. I recommend this. I think it's brilliant, specifically if you're trying to tell the story of why you'd be effective in that role. And that's what I think is missing from a lot of the resumes that I see every day, or nowadays, not as much, but you get my drift. That's what's missing, is calling that out. It's very easy to say, I worked in a sales environment where I went door to door, or called on X number of clients a day, or I managed 5 accounts. None of that screams, hire me. But what does is took on added responsibilities outside of my role, ran a committee on XYZ, exceeded 162% of goal on XYZ, talking about some of the growth, perhaps. Maybe you talk about it, you highlight 20% year over year growth, things that are going to illustrate the impact that you've had. Now, I do think it's critical to talk about some of the the job responsibilities. Be very concise. There's a philosophy on getting your resume to 1 page. I'm not going to debate that here. I've not been able to keep my resume on 1 page for quite some time, and I'm not apologetic about that. I do my best, but where I've found the most success in getting my resume noticed, frankly, is the value, quantifying quantity and quality, quantifying what I've been able to contribute to a team, how I have liaised with others, different investments that I've been able to make personally and professionally into different facets of the organization, areas where I've gone above and beyond, percentage to goal, but not just in one revenue bucket, but in many different metrics. And when I've helped others who have felt that they didn't have a lot of qualities or experiences that they could really tout on a resume, I've challenged them to think about different things that, maybe you helped write policy, maybe you helped on a specific project, maybe you contributed in some way in your role. And those are the types of things that you really want to make sure that you expound upon. Be unique, come across as unique, play up key skills, but also realize that everybody is an overachiever, innovative thinker, customer obsessed person. So it's great that you are those things, but make sure that your resume and your LinkedIn profile tell a very unique story about what you've done, what you've learned, and what you can do, because those are the types of things that are going to get you noticed. Take a look at your resume today. I modify mine, mostly my LinkedIn profile, as often as I can. When I do something that I feel should play a part in that, maybe a metric is updated, I run a project, I connect with someone. So be sure you're updating your resume as frequently as makes sense. Same with your LinkedIn profile. Keep a journal. This helps me the most. I keep a daily journal of the different things that I do in my business so that I can look back and I know the exact things that I need to be tracking and the things that I can be adding to my resume. And other than that, if you're looking currently, hope your job hunt goes well. And as always, thanks for watching.